following is a special presentation of the Arkansas Sports Network.
Hello, I'm here with Coach Chris Williams of the Barton Bears, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Barton Bears and their state championship run. We're going to talk a little bit about everything leading up to that, and we're going to talk about and let him get his side of the story in as far as the Barton side, what it was to what it was leading up to state championship. So, Coach, again, I want to say thank you for allowing us to come in and talk to you guys about everything, and obviously congratulations on the championship. Surprisingly enough, and I know that back here you can see all of these state championship banners, but surprisingly enough, there hadn't been a basketball one till now.
Right. Man, appreciate it, man. Yeah, Barton has always been a football powerhouse, and for us to bring that first title back in basketball has been a dream come true, and kind of a whirlwind since then. But
Yeah.
man, I'm just excited and happy.
Oh, I'm sure that, for a town that is so used to winning, again in football mainly, but so used to winning, I know that it's got to be exciting to bring that winning feeling back. And I know that people have probably just showered you with praise. And of course, you know how it is, to the victor go the spoils. But it's had to be good around here for a little bit now.
Oh yeah, man. Everywhere I go, I'm getting congratulations at the
Right.
store, Walmart, even back in my hometown in Forest City. But it's just a great feeling, and I gotta salute Coach Court because he kind of started it off last year with the girls program and
Yeah.
getting them back on the map. And with these boys, man, they just kind of took it and ran with it. And the community has been they've been dying for a winning program. Football is on the come up, so we'll see them back to their glory days here real soon. But for now, we're gonna hang our hat on basketball,
Sure.
and hopefully we can keep it rolling for the next few years.
Well, let's just start with that. The success of the girls and the boys programs. You had a runner-up in girls last year. You got Demaya Wilson scoring 72 points, all-time record in the game. But when you guys come into this gym, you got a boys team that won the state championship. You got a girls team that's contender. It had to be a lot of fun around here.
Man, these games here were awesome. When I say the home court environment was off the chain, man, we had sellout crowds throughout the year. A lot of people around the state didn't know, but everybody in the Delta in this community, they've been supporting throughout the year. So, man, it was an exciting time. We had some great times in here, and although it's my first year, I felt like we kind of laid the foundation to what I want for years to come. Senior night was amazing, but it all comes down to our administration and our staff and everybody that kind of supports the kids. They're really big on supporting us. So to have them backing us and then the community come out and back us, I think our fans are amazing. So we have to give them a good product.
You got to have an administration that's committed to winning, and we see that now across the state. There are some that are. There's some that are not. We're seeing coaches now being ushered out. Some maybe for good reason. We don't. I mean, I'm not there, so I don't know. But some maybe not. Politics plays a big role in all of this.
Mhm.
But you got to have an administration that not only is committed to winning, but will stand firm with their coaches and support them.
I agree. Dr. Guthrie has been great to me, and I think he's made a few home run hires with Coach Court, with myself, and now with Coach Basankin coming in. I
Mhm.
think that was a great hire for us. And like I said, man, I'm very thankful for him and the whole administration team, my principals, and everybody at the Barton Lexus School District. But yeah, we're on the come up, man, and hopefully we can keep this thing rolling.
But leading up to that state semifinal game that did obviously have so much riding on it, there was some heat, obviously, between the two teams. Um, Talk a little bit about leading up to the game. The district tournament game. Obviously, it was regular season games. Was there any kind of fear or anything that would go into maybe what might have happened?
I knew there was a possibility because they were, and sports can get emotional.
Sure.
Like it's sometimes things like I'm not gonna say things like that happen, but things happen in sports. It gets heated sometimes, uh, but I think some of that stuff took away from the great competitions that we had. And if you ask me, I would say that we were two of the best teams in the state throughout the year. And I would have loved to play them in a state championship. I think we were two of the best teams that could have competed for a state championship. But yeah, there were things I think that led up to it. I'm not sure the full details on everything because sometimes kids have stuff that go on behind closed doors that I don't know about. But I know there's a time and a place for everything.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes we get caught up in the moment, or kids get caught up in the moment, and sometimes you got to win or lose and take it with grace and move on. And sometimes you just make bad decisions, and I think sometimes our reactions to that bad decision weren't the best. But it's an unfortunate situation. I hate that it happened, but what it took away from was a great semifinal game that we had. And when I watched
Yeah.
the semifinal game, it went back and forth. They took a lead actually in the fourth quarter and went on a run where it almost looked like they were going to take it, but we kind of battled back, and it was just a possession by possession game the last minute of the game. And like I said, man, I hate it happened. It took away from a great game, and I love competing against them because those are the type of games you want to play for and coach in. But
Yeah.
you never wanted to get to that situation.
Yes, I agree 100%. It was, and we have seen it, and you guys, this situation has not happened just with you guys. There's play all over the country, all over the state. This is not the first time that's happened. Um, so let's talk. Take me through. Um, obviously, you had the situation. Um, it was an ugly situation. Let's talk about what happened after the situation. You guys have won the game. They had to call the game. You guys have won the game because you guys were ahead when they called the game. You're going to the free throw line. I believe there's 1.7 seconds on the clock. There was, unless a miracle would have happened, the game was decided at that point. Uh, Take me through what the next day and into the next few days to leading up to, hey, we're going to actually get to play this game.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of confusion and a lot of doubt after the game. And on my end, there was a lot of embarrassment and a little bit of disappointment. Even though I was happy that we won, the way that we won, it kind of dimmed the light a little bit, where I
Yeah,
couldn't celebrate it as much as I wanted to. Um, but those next couple of days were kind of rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. That Saturday night and Sunday, we came up here and we had to like review some film and see what actually went on because I couldn't even get on social media Saturday night because it was just so much negativity being put out there from people that weren't at the game, that didn't know the ins and outs of what happened throughout the season with us. So I just kind of left it alone, and I know some of the guys were kind of getting down on it because I would hear some of them say some of the stuff in the group chat like, coach, they're kind of judging us, or they're kind of looking at us in a negative light. But I kind of saw it coming. After the game, I was a little emotional about it in the locker room because I kind of had a feeling that it was going to get blown out of proportion, that it was going to be a ugly incident. And it took a couple of days to process it. And then Monday, once we kind of met with AAA and we kind of got to the bottom of things, and we kind of knew what the ruling was kind of going to be. We knew we were going to lose some guys. After that, our minds kind of flipped to, okay, what are we gonna do now? How are we gonna fix it? How can we resolve this? And we basically started game planning, and we had the early game on Thursday too. So we had one of the first games in the late session, but we were playing on the first day of the championship. So we didn't have much time to kind of regroup and kind of get into that mode. But I say around Monday evening, Tuesday morning, once we kind of figured out, hey, this is what it's gonna be. We got a couple of days to prepare for it. I came in with a game plan and kind of told the guys, this is what we're gonna do. This is the mindset we got to have. They bought into it, and we kind of locked in from there. And the rest is history, man. I think they really bought into what I was preaching to them, and I was kind of glad that
yeah,
they heard it, and they sent a message loud and clear on game day.
that is true. We'll get to that in just a moment. Talk about the kids and the kids. Not only the kids that got suspended, but the kids that didn't get suspended. How how did they react once everything kind of cooled down? You said that talked about how that the social media was so negative about it, and the reason I bring it up is that there are so many voices on the outside. Social media makes this to where you can say whatever you want whenever you want to say it. But I wasn't there. Lots of people weren't there. They made their own judgments by what they saw. Tell me what effect it had on the kids?
Um, well, the kids that got suspended, I hurt for them the most because a lot of them were seniors. A lot of them didn't get a chance to play in the final game. They didn't get to celebrate the semifinal win like they wanted to, and a lot of them were really just defending themselves or standing up for a teammate. That really isn't a reflection of how I coach them or the young men that they are. They are outstanding young men. They're honor roll students. They're great young men, but they made choices that were detrimental, and they paid the price for it. So I have nothing but respect for them for accepting that and being accountable. They were accountable for their actions. Nobody
Yeah,
kind of gave pushback to it because they knew that they were wrong. But the guys that didn't participate, I'm super proud of them. Quintarion Wilson is one that he was the one that initially got swung on, but he was also the kid that stepped up and made the two free throws to put us up in the semifinal game,
mm,
and he also had a game high 25 in the finals game. So I was super proud of him for the restraint that he showed. He's a great kid. But all those guys, all of my starters and the guys that didn't participate, they just showed a lot of humbleness and restraint. And like if you watch them, if you look at them, you'll see some of them that were protecting each other on the walls. I have to salute Quaylen Green because, me as a dad, I wasn't able to protect my son in that moment.
sure.
And there were some grown men that were trying to line him up and maybe get a cheap shot in on him. But Quaylen was one of the guys that was on the baseline, kind of protecting him, and I always be grateful for him doing that because in that moment I wasn't just worried about my kid. I was trying to, break up and disperse anything that I could,
Sure.
anybody that I saw. I was trying to break it up, and like I said, I was worried about all the kids. I
Sure.
was worried about the fans. I was worried about everybody at that moment. I couldn't just find mine, and I was worried about my own family that were in the stands. But my initial reaction was to kind of get my kids to safety, try to get the guys to the locker room. Let's see if we can break this thing up as quickly as possible, and it escalated quickly. But man, I'm super proud of the guys that show restraint. They were able to participate, and they knew that it was a bigger cause. They knew
Yeah.
that there was a chance that that could happen. I've been preaching it to the guys that hey, if this escalates, be a bigger person, go to the locker room, walk away from anything that might transpire because it could lead to something bigger. But those guys that didn't participate, they knew it was a bigger reason. They knew it was a bigger picture, and like I said, they stepped up, and I really had 5 or 6 guys that I was comfortable playing.
Yeah.
Those starters I knew were going to be okay, and then I had a couple of freshmen on the bench, but they played the majority of the game, and it showed the heart that they had that game.
I want to be clear about something, what you said there in that answer. You said that there were grown people that were trying to square up on kids in that incident.
Oh, for sure. You can see it. I mean, even on the baseline, and again, I mentioned this to the refs during the game. In the student section, you had adults that were like standing on the sideline. They were a little bit too close to the playing court. And again, I'm all for fans being into the game. I just don't want it to be a lot of negativity being spewed to
Sure.
the kids as they're playing. But yeah, there were grown people that I don't know if it was them feeling like they had to protect their players or they had to go out there but there were also some guys getting cheap shots in. And like I said, my son, he's a college prospect. He's a pretty good player. If they felt like they could have got one in on him, I'm pretty sure they would have. But again, man, I'm just glad that he wasn't hurt. I'm glad nobody was seriously injured on either side.
Yeah.
And even though it was an ugly incident, man, I'm glad we can kind of put it behind us and move forward, and hopefully, we can kind of get back to just playing basketball.
Well, speaking of that, you did play some basketball, and you played a Mount Vernon Enola team that had beaten you in the regional tournament. They had beaten you in the finals, and I think that was a little bit of surprise to a lot of people. That was a good Mount Vernon Enola team. And what happened in that state final is one of the reasons why we're here is to talk about that performance that was there. And obviously, uh, you know, no disrespect to Mount Vernon and Nolan, what happened with their team because they had a great season.
Correct.
What you guys did in that state final was is one of the great performances that I've ever seen in a state final. And you talked about your kids kind of circling the wagons a little bit once everything kind of the dust settled. Talk to us about that process and what went in. And did you know going into that game that they were going to be that good?
I knew there was a chance because we've been good all year. We've had games where we shot the ball well. We've had games where we ran the floor and got up and down and turned some people over, and that's our style. I think that finals game was a epitome of kind of how we play and what we look like when we're at our best. But hats off to Mount Vernon. I think they have a great coaching staff, great administration. Nothing but respect for those guys. They beat us fair and square in the regional finals. And I don't think it was a fluke win. I think that they just outplayed us, outcoached us, and we took our L and we learned from it. But we also knew if we handled our business and they did the same, that we would meet back up possibly. And we wanted to kind of make it right. And I didn't think that we were going to win as handily as we did, but that's just a testament to the guys being locked in. And uh, it was also like a little extra motivation, too. So I don't think it was a true showing of what Mount Vernon really was because I think they're a great team. But I think our guys were just that motivated to go out there and prove that we can shoot the ball, that we can play with anybody, and that we can be a force to be reckoned with anybody, any school in Arkansas.
I think y'all would have won some other games. You might not have just won the 2A game. Y'all just played a perfect game in a lot of ways. I know. I guess it was got to the end of the game. Y'all were 8 for 11 from three. I think you missed your last three.
Right.
That made you 8 of 14 for the
Hmm.
game. Um, Shot like 70%, something like that for the game. The performance it was really unbelievable. Um, you know, I'm I was taken aback by it. I felt like that this could happen though. I felt like that you guys could circle those wagons, get everybody going in the same direction. But you guys really put Barton basketball on the map
Yeah.
because we were talking a little bit about this before. This is not probably the only team that will be a contender. You got other teams coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's the beginning, and it's a great first year. I'm glad we were able to get over the hump. I've been to the semifinals a couple of times, so being able to finally get over the hump and win one, it was special, and to do it in year one is special too. But the bright side is I got Wilson, who, like I said, led us in scoring. He's coming back for a couple more years. I had a great junior high group that was district runner up, and I'll be moving a few of those guys up and trying to develop some of those guys that were on the bench too.
Right.
I think we won't be as talented as we were this year, but we'll be definitely in the running. And with that experience that they got this past year, that'll kind of give you a nod over a lot of teams when you got
Sure.
that state finals experience. So I'm looking forward to the future years, but we're gonna soak this one in for the next few months. But I say
Sure.
by the summertime, we'll be ready to get back to the ground.
Get back into team camps, that sort of thing. What would you say to a person that's outside looking in on that situation about your team and about your kids on that team?
Just that they're great kids, and things happen. If their kid was to get attacked, how would you react in that moment?
Sure.
I know plenty of parents that would probably do the same. I know plenty of kids that would probably react the same. But again, I just want you to put yourself in their shoes for a second. Should they have walked away? Yeah, that's what we teach most of our kids to do in those moments. But we're all human, and sometimes we make um, reactions that we don't really think about, and we just kind of move on them. But I love those kids. I'm not mad at them because that wasn't the first incident that's happened with us. I think at some point you'll stand up for yourself and for your teammates. And again, I don't condone it. I don't think it was right, but they made their decision and they paid the price for them. But again, these are great kids. These kids they all come from great homes. They've done everything I've asked of them this year. That's not a reflection of what we've been all year long, but I also think that people have to just have some empathy and realize like if you were in that situation or your child was in that situation, how would you react?
Sure.
And just looking from the outside in, you can easily judge and say, I would have done this or they don't deserve this. Those kids deserve to play.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of the reason why we wanted to go out there and leave no doubt that we were the best team because the people that were saying that we didn't deserve to play also were the ones probably saying that we were wrong for standing up for ourselves. But again, I'm not gonna bash those kids for doing what they did. Um, I just feel like people got to know that at some point, if somebody's bullying you, you can go tell so many times. We've tried to make arrangements. We've tried to talk to officials and the law enforcement. And if steps aren't taken, then things like that happen. But again, ugly situation. Hate that it went that route, but it won't happen again. I can guarantee you that.
Well, and that's something that I was going to touch on. You said there that you had tried to make arrangements. There were things that you guys, there were steps that you guys made, yet it still happened,
Right.
right? What were some of those things that you guys tried to do to prevent?
Well, even at Desert when we played in the district finals, that was I'm not sure how many law enforcement officers were there, but different agencies were there. They were lined up against the walls. And we had an incident, and it paused the game for 20, 30 minutes or so. But it was broken up pretty quickly. Um, we've asked to play without fans. They didn't want to do that. But and at the end of the day, I just want to play ball.
Sure.
If their fans want to be there and our fans want to be there and act accordingly, I have no problem with that. But we have to act the right way, and we can't have issues like that because it takes away from the competitive nature of the game,
Yeah.
the great battles that we had. Because every game that we played, like I said, they were some of the great battles, and they tested us throughout the year. We wouldn't have won state without those battles that we had against them, and some of the mental toughness that we had to show in those games kind of helped us
Right.
later in the season. So. I don't regret any of it. Well, I take that back. I regret some of it, but I wouldn't change any of it because I feel like those things kind of help make us a better team.
So um, there is two separate situations here. You've got what happens on the floor and the heat that happens on the floor, but then you have people that are coming out of the stands. You can control what is happening on the floor with your kids. You can't control what's happening with the other kids, but the coming out of the stands, that's an issue.
Right.
That's a problem.
It is.
And it's a problem with adults especially coming out of the stands. You said something earlier about adults being in the student section. I've seen it. I know exactly what you're talking about. Um, to me, this is something that a school needs to get in control of, not just England, but other schools. I've seen it in other schools where adults are getting in the student section, guys that might have played years ago, 5, 10. Some of them hairlines look like they played a long time ago. And I can talk about hairlines because I don't have one. But there, that's an issue that we have people that are stirring things up and then they're coming on the floor. I feel like that there needs to be stricter restrictions at schools. If you know that this person is stirring things up, and I'm going to give you an example. Fordyce did a great job with us in a similar situation, and there's a certain person that is banned because of how he acted toward us. I could imagine how that same person would act if things got heated on the field.
Hmm.
So I feel like that schools need to do a better job of policing that. I think that could help. But I want you to talk just a little bit about that situation and the fans coming on the court or on the field and the risks that are involved with that.
We just have to do better. Fans have to do better, not just their fans, our fans as well. We have to keep it more positive and supportive of your team. We have to stop with the negativity, the threatening, and definitely have to stay off the court. Like let the guys play the game. It's okay to cheer your team on, to be enthusiastic about it, but we have to stay off the court. We can't be attacking other fans or other players. I just think that was a black eye for the high school
Yeah,
basketball in Arkansas, and we'll be better from it. I think we both learned a valuable lesson on that especially our end, especially those guys that didn't get to play and participate. Some of our fans that didn't get to travel and attend the game. But yeah, that's just something that we have to clean up with schools, administrations, and maybe even the AAA taking steps to banning people that enter the court or make derogatory references to officials or
yeah,
players. But it's something that we have to work on, and we're gonna get better at it. But I'll take accountability for our fans. Uh, we did have some that got on the court and they know better now, but at the same time their parents or family members or they see somebody being attacked from their school, it's kind of a
yeah.
natural reaction. But I think that's something that we learned the hard way. And like I said, this is my first year, but next year we'll definitely be addressing it the first game of the year. And even in parent meetings, making sure that we reiterate that that's not the behavior that we're going to
Yeah.
tolerate. And any type of activity like that will be costly for you. And if it's banning you for a year or banning you for multiple years or a semester, whatever the case may be, we need to stand on that and make sure we get that straightened out.
So I agree with you 100%. I feel like if you enter the court of play as an adult and you are ginning the situation up, I said, and you probably saw it on a show right before the finals, I said, if mine was on the court in a situation like that, I would definitely try to go get them off the court, get
Right,
them out of the situation.
right,
So there's a situation like that where somebody would come out of the stands, try to get their family out of the way. That's understandable.
right,
The videotape tells all about that, by the way. But those that gin it up, make it hotter, maybe squaring up on kids, like you said, banned for life. They don't have any. They don't have any business being in the game anymore. And I want to say this, and I feel like you just the direction of this conversation that we're going. I feel like that the heat is so high in a lot of these games, not just England and Barton. I've been to many games where it's just so emotional, it's so high, and the yelling at the fans and from the other side of the court, or yelling at the referees so much, or maybe yelling at your own coach, yelling at the other coach. We got to take the temperature down.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's a game.
right.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's a game. Nobody should die on the court. And I know that sounds crazy when I say that, but you saw it firsthand. There could have been some major, major implications come out of that situation. Nobody should die on the court. Nobody should get bodily injured. It shouldn't be that way. And so I say, and to take this opportunity as we're talking to say, we got to take the temperature down.
For sure. I think you're totally right on that. I think that fans get heated, um, especially in big games. The bigger the game gets, if we're playing a bottom level conference team, our fans aren't as hyped up as they
Right.
would be against a rival game or a semifinal game. So with the stakes being higher, of course our fans are gonna ramp up the energy a little bit more, but we definitely have to bring it down a little bit. We definitely have to be more positive and supportive of our
Right.
home and less negative and derogatory toward the opposition. Um, that's just my stance on it.
Yes.
I don't really want to speak on what other schools should do with their fans, but I will address our fans at the beginning of next year, whether it's me getting on the PA and just letting them know like, hey, this is the terms and the things that we're going to do and be accepting of, and if you don't, then there'll be repercussions for it. But again, I think year one we're finally trying to build that culture, and some of the fans are learning how to handle themselves like
Yeah.
a winning culture. We've never won a state championship in basketball, and it's been a while since we won one in football. So what my idea is to come and change the culture of the team, and slowly change the culture of the fans and the community. And I want that to carry over to football and every sport that we have around here, even in our hallways. I'm the dean of students here, so I want to help change the culture in the hallways too. There's not a lot of nonsense and foolishness that goes on at Barton. We have a great student body. We have a great athletic programs, and I think we have great fans. But they have to learn how to be a part of a winning culture. And I think we're slowly but surely getting there.
I believe what you say. I just want you to know that. I believe it. And I want people to know that. I believe what this man is saying. And I think that they're taking steps here at Barton to try to make sure that that happens. And I want to say I commend you for it.
Appreciate it, man.
Man, congratulations on a state championship. Congratulations on making it through probably the hardest week of your life.
For sure.
And man, congratulations on raising a son that's going to get a chance to play some college ball.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, man.
Man, I really do appreciate you taking the time with us, getting your side of the story out, and just allowing people to hear from you. And, the next time we talk, it'll just be about ball. How about that?
Sounds good to me, man.
All right, Coach Chris Williams of Barton, the head coach, 2A state champion, as you can see right there, talking a little bit about state championship, all the things that surrounded it, and we hope you enjoyed this interview.